Welcome to the Knighthood Podcast, a comprehensive weekly analysis of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by Michael and James. So fire up and let's go. Hello everybody, here we are for the round 23 review and the round 24 preview for the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by embi Optimal Oral Care. Last night we recorded live on YouTube, but unfortunately we had issues with our streaming provider. And, we did a great show with James, but the quality didn't turn out so well. So what I'm actually going to do this morning is run through a quick summary of the show so we can get this out to our audios on Spotify and also on Apple, because we've got a good following now there. And we will also whack up this recording onto YouTube. So, I think I'll just crack straight into it. It was a good show last night. James had some good insights into the match and into the season, and it's a shame that we won't be able to share those with everybody. But let's just get on with it. And no matter what happens here, we adapt to the conditions, and we keep chugging on. So let's get into the content. What I'll do tonight is we'll run through, like I said, the round 23 review and the round 24 preview. Okay, and on the agenda is the review. We'll run through the Knighthood Podcast Player of the Year 3-2-1 update. Then I'll have a look at the ladder with the buys taken out. Then we're going to have a look at the season review, season to date. And then we'll have a look at the run home, the next 4 matches to finish the season. And then have a look at Adam O'Brien. We've just got some notes on Adam O'Brien and some key things that we're going to see here in the show. We've got we've done our ladder predictions. So we've gone on to the ladder predictor on NRL.com, and we've had a look and checking out to see where we're going to finish up the season, next 4 games. It's looking likely that we could play finals. The big match this week against the Sharks. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be doing a brief summary of Adam O'Brien's season to date. It's my view and also James's view that he's made a lot of mistakes this year, and that the side should be performing better than it is on the ladder. It's been quite frustrating. So we're in a position now to make the finals, and being passionate supporters of the Knights, we want to get behind the team, and we want to get behind O'Brien. And I think at this stage, even though this show is based on reviewing performance of the club and trying to be as honest as we can, with the goal in mind that we want a side that is actually going to challenge to be a top 4 place every year, and also challenging for premierships. And that's off the back of a club that has an awesome junior nursery, is now financially stable. We have awesome training facilities. We've got the best supporters in the league. So there's no real excuses anymore. We've got a salary cap. We've got plenty of money to spend, and to, get the right juniors coming through. And the Newcastle Knights, we definitely, we should always be in the top 8. But we should be more like a Melbourne or a Penrith and a Roosters, and be challenging for these top 4 and premierships. So we're quite passionate about it. James and I have been, we grew up in Newcastle, played footy together, went to school together, and we've been around since this team started in '88, and we're super passionate about the Knights and the club, and it's in our blood, and red and blue in the veins. So that's what we want to see. But at the end of the day, it's hard to support a club if they don't make good business decisions and get things wrong. So we don't want to be overly critical, but the bottom line is that we're setting a standard, no different to what Melbourne does. They set high standards, and then every action that they take backs that up. And then that's why you see Melbourne, even if the team changes and it looks like they've got, players that are not big names, they just consistently do it. They can look at them now. They're still first on the ladder. And if you look at the squad and you look at the names, you wouldn't necessarily think that they'd be coming first at this stage of the season. So that's what we want from our team and from our club. And I guess Adam O'Brien was brought to the club from Melbourne. So the club, could see what they were trying to do, and ultimately we think there's some weaknesses in O'Brien's game. We'll highlight those in that section. And then we'll move on because we've got 4 games left and we want to just cheer the team on and be as positive as possible. And we'll leave any kind of scathing reviews until the season review at the end of the season. So that's where our head's at the minute. And then we're going to roll into the preview in the second half of this show, which will probably run a lot faster tonight. Will be maybe somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes. So it'll be good for the drive home or in the gym or something like that. So injuries and suspensions, as we normally do, we're going to run through our normal process. We'll run through the team list, the ref and the weather, run over our analysis, have a look at the betting update, see where we stand. And another key element of the Nightwood podcast is number 1's performance and number 2 is profit. So we want to make profit from betting. And we run through a very consistent, methodical process, and we basically keep it the same unless we feel like there's some things that can improve that process and improve the accuracy of our takes and the accuracy of our so we've systemized this show so that we can make good comment based on fact and make good decisions. So we're going to run through this similar process every single week. And at the moment, we are profitable. And if you had your money on the Knights head-to-head this year, you'd be losing about 11%. So, you know, we were aiming to get about 25% return on investment, which is pretty ambitious. It's a tough game and it's been a tough season. So I think we're currently sitting at about 7%. So keep in mind, too, this is all time-stamped. So if you want to skip ahead to certain sections in and out of the podcast, then you can scroll on the bottom on the screen on YouTube. Obviously, you can't do that on the audios. There's no timestamp, but you can also skip if you know how we normally structure it. Anyway, so that's the introduction. It's Wednesday morning here in Sydney. It's it's been a few days since the game, and I'm not going to spend too much time going over this match. We beat the Tigers 34-18, 6 tries to 3. Fantastic effort from Fletcher Sharp. He scored 4 tries, and it's great to see SS not go winner. Performing at that level so early in his career, showing so much raw talent and instinct. He's a footy player, and you've only got to ask yourself. You got to cut the coaching staff some slack, but maybe you should have been there a little bit earlier. Surely you'd see these signs at training. But yeah, we'll get to the O'Brien thing pretty soon. In terms of the review, I'll quickly run through some stats. Ultimately, the possession was 50-50. We controlled the ball at 83%. So did the Tigers at 92%, super high completion rate. The thing that let the Tigers down, and I don't know if it was them or if it was just the ref, but I think the ref was very happy to blow the P, a bit trigger happy. And I feel like a lot of the penalties were very soft. The top level referees wouldn't have made those penalties so easy. And the Knights got a lot of piggybacks out. So, we'll take it because we haven't had an easy run with the refs this year, and nothing has seemed to really go, in our favor so heavily like this game did. I remember sitting back and just watching the match, and basically, every call seemed to go our way, even though, we also gave away some penalties, but no, it was nowhere near as impacting on our team. So, yeah, poor old Tigers. They really turned up and had a go. And if Ponga didn't turn up and play high energy footy like he did at the start of the match, and if we weren't up for this match, the Tigers would have won this game. So we did tip them to win, unfortunately. And it's great that the Knights got up and won and proved us wrong and restored a bit of faith in everything. But, considering everything this year, it's just been so up and down. It's really hard to be 100% confident in what we were going to dish up there, especially I think going into the match we'd won 2 from 6 at home. In terms of run meters, we ran more meters than the Tigers. We ran an extra 300 meters at 1,800 meters. And, our line breaks was more 5-3 to the Tigers. Average set distance was 43 meters to their 39. In terms of offloads, I think we showed a bit more of a willingness to offload in this match, which is good. and maybe that's a reason why we actually attacked a little bit better and got more points on the board. There was a bit more of a free spirit with attack. So, that's a good sign, and hopefully they can continue this style of footy moving forward, and hopefully O'Brien takes a little bit of his, takes a thumb off the team a little bit and just lets them play a little bit more. Obviously, they got to get the ABCs right, but I mean, every footy team knows that. It's a pretty basic game, You've got possession or you don't have possession. You need to hold the ball and do well with it. It's and play tough footy. It's not a secret, and it's quite unusual. How O'Brien's made comments in regards to us being an ugly footy team, and we need to accept that and play that way, and all this kind of commentary. It's hardly motivating. So let's hope the boys rise above that and get together and get the September. I remember playing footy, and there's nothing better than this time of year when spring's in the air and you kind of get that. You start smelling the jasmine in the air, and you feel the warmth coming back, and the sun, and there's no better time of the year than this time of year coming into the end of the season and into finals footy. It's just a really good time of year. Lots of good memories for me as a kid, and look, it's still get that vibe, which is awesome. In terms of kicking, our kicking meters were a little bit under the Tigers, but I thought overall our kicking game wasn't too bad. Gamble had that really awesome try assist. Our tackling, I thought both sides, obviously we scored some pretty fluky tries, but overall I didn't think, for a team coming last, the Tigers weren't too bad, were they? And we seemed to take the foot off the pedal towards the end of the game. So, look, our defense has been, reasonably solid this year. We're probably a top 8 side in terms of defense. It's just we haven't been able to get the combinations right, and that comes probably down to against team selections and not having consistency, and O'Brien not being able to get the formula right on the field. So looks like he may have got it pretty close, and we'll go into that pretty soon with the team selections for the upcoming. Negative play, we made 12 errors, so they'll need to fix that up this week against the Sharks. The Tigers really did a good job to control the ball and gave himself a chance. The penalties, the Tigers, they got 8, we got 7, and the ruck infringements 2-0 to the Tigers, so they went negative there, and inside 10 meters is 1-1. But I just think, even though on paper it looks pretty even, slight advantage to the Knights, penalties, it comes down to when the penalty is, and the impact that has on the momentum of a match, and that's the thing that the stats don't tell you. And clearly, to me, we really got the rub of the green with the ref. I won't go on. So I haven't got the player stats in front of me, but I didn't last night because I couldn't use the phone because of the audio issues. I might actually just quickly bring that up on NRL.com. So bear with me for a second, and I'll keep talking in regards to some of the key performances. Now, Kalen Ponga, it was great that he came out with energy early in this match and got involved early in the match. And he really, I think it was quite evident that he was there to play, and it was quite evident the week before he wasn't there to play against the Panthers in the first half. And even, Cooper Cronk made commentary about 30 minutes into the Panthers match about, he's like basically said, where's Ponga? What's he doing? He's got to get involved. So he did that, and that certainly helped start. We went into the break 22-12 and scored, some really good tries, and I thought we were really strong in the middle. So this is all off the back of Ponga. If we're going to make the finals, Ponga needs to keep aiming up, as you'd expect from a $1.4 million player who's our captain. Fletcher Sharp, outstanding. Dane Gagai, best try assist of his life, in my opinion. That was just champagne football. So good to see. Mapalangi had his ups and downs again. Didn't look too bad, I think obvious, but I still think he's a liability, and he hasn't been selected for the upcoming match. So unfortunately made, it's probably he's not going to get re-signed, and he probably won't feature again in this side unless we have an injury crisis. Marju, outstanding. I've been highly critical of him earlier in the season because he just wasn't aiming up and playing to his potential, but now he is. so he gets the praise. And he got, well, we'll get into it in a second with the 3-2-1. But yeah, Marju was outstanding. The carries from out the back, just alpha, just really awesome shit. And Gamble, well, he's justified his selection in the team, as far as I'm concerned, over Will Price. That was a tough call from the coach, and he got that right. And I think Gamble is our 5'8". You know, he's the one that marched into the finals like he did last year. And his partner in crime, Phoenix Crossland, he's the new age Kurt Gidley. That's for sure. He plays half. He plays hooker. He can go into lock. He's kind of got the same kind of spirit, as Kurt, and definitely one of my favorite players. And I'm actually really happy now. I think O'Brien again has made a good call here. I think Hastings looked a little bit slow, and that affected our attack. And now we're playing more up tempo, and Crossland, he's just a goer. So, it's great to see him there in the 7, and hopefully him and Gamble and the rest of the spine, Ponga and Brayley, can keep building on what they've got down. They've got 2 matches under the belt, a win, and now we're going into a match versus the Sharks, which is going to be close, and we can beat them. So Daniel Safidi, I thought, was really solid, and look, there's talk of him moving and leaving from the club, but why would we move him? I mean, just keep him. He's proven that he can really play good footy. It's just about getting his mindset right, and that's up to the coaches. He'll be a big loss, and especially if we've got our salary cap wrong next year. For offloading players and paying part of their salary to play somewhere else, I think it's ludicrous. So, we did say that Safidi would be one to move on earlier in the year. But, I mean, if he's playing at that level and he's starting to do it consistently now, you'd have to reconsider that. So, yeah, anyway, Safidi was good. Daniel Safidi was good in the absence of Jacob while he's on the sidelines. And I thought Leo Thompson was solid as well. And Frizzell, awesome. He played a great game. He's the spiritual leader of our side in KPP. He was also very solid. I think very underutilized in terms of the way they use him in the team. It's unbelievable that going into round 24 and this guy doesn't that we don't have Kalen Ponga running off this guy with offloads. It's just unbelievable. So, we're as much as we're behind the team, like we look at the quality of the side we've got. We should be gelling better with combinations and performing better than we currently are. But look, they got 4 matches, and we're trying to be as positive as we can. Adam Elliott, the Kettle, awesome. Great energy. And it's good when he's play right, combining with the spine players and combining with the forwards and the little short offloads and, playing that ball style, ball playing role in the 13 and good defense, good line speed, very good. Crocker, Hetherington, and Jones, they all contributed. Nothing that really stood out, good or bad. And Jack Cogger got 8 minutes, and I just don't understand why he's in the side. And I can't say anything good about Cogger, so or the coach's selection of him. So we'll move on from that. The press conference from O'Brien, let's whip over it. He said that was a good start. They completed 10 out of 10 of their first sets. Ponga and Elliott got involved early, and that definitely helped the side. And he was proud of the way that they defended. The halves played well. They looked framed up with the balls. That's what he said. So better structure. And then basically he said, let's enjoy tonight and get ready for the Sharks next week. And that's what they've done. And that's what they're in terms of James's final analysis, he thought that both sides started well in the first 10 minutes, and it was evident that the Knights were there. They're going to be more expensive with the ball. And he said that we were playing fast and upbeat and throwing more at the opposition than we have for a long time. And basically we reaped the rewards with a 22-12 lead at halftime. And the first 20 minutes of the second half, basically the Knights, we continued on with that. And then basically we took the foot off a little bit towards I think Fletcher Sharp scored in the 55th minute. And then we didn't see another point after that. And it was around that time we actually we backed the Tigers at the start, and the strategy was to hedge out of the bet if things didn't go well in the game with a live bet. And I think I got that pretty spot on. Noticed that maybe there was a chance that the Tigers would keep it close, and I actually took the Tigers at the line in the second half during the match, and we landed that bet to save face. And we came out with one win and one loss and a slight profit loss for the day. But I've had to do that multiple times in the last month or so because I've just kind of lost faith in the side. And to be honest, I've done well not to lose more money. It's been really hard to know, what team's going to turn up, but the live betting has kind of saved the profit at this stage of the season. My analysis was that the effort was excellent all match, which is number one. We need to turn up and put in the effort. We executed and scored some excellent tries. Our completion rate was good enough to get into a grind and to execute an attack. And our defense was solid. But there were a couple of easy tries to the Tigers, and that even in the first half, I was thinking, the Tigers are not too far off turning this match in their favor. But then the ref kind of didn't help them out a lot, and the Knights scored some really excellent tries. Had a bit of luck on their side, and that's all she wrote. That was the difference. And discipline was good. It wasn't so good against the Panthers the week before, so they fixed that, and the refereeing, as I mentioned, was generally in the favour of the Knights and the luck. 3-2-1, James, 3 points to Ponga, 2 points to Marju, 1 point to Elliott, and I went with 3 for Frizzell, 2 for Marju, and 1 for Fletcher Sharp. And if you look at the player of the year ladder, Bradman Best on 25, Dylan Lucas on 21, Kalen Ponga on 21. So even though Ponga has been out for 47% of the season, he's still there at 21, and most likely will take out the player of the year if they play well in the next 4 weeks. He will figure in those points because he influenced the match result, and most likely with Bradman Best injured and not likely to return this year, we'll probably see Ponga take it out. Can't see anyone else that can compete with him if the side's performing well. But Gay Guy's on 20. He's had a really good season. KPP's had a solid season there on 19. Daniel Safidi, well, he's on 17 points and he's in the top 6 players in our opinion in his side. So why would you let him go? Jacob, his brother, is on 15. And then you've got Marju and Jackson Hastings on 13. So, look, ultimately, it's interesting. I mean, look at Hastings. He's there on 13. He's not even in the side. At least you'd think Hastings would be on the bench instead of Cogger, because he can cover halves and he can also cover. Maybe he could cover dummy half. I've never seen him play in that role, but we can definitely cover 13, and I'm sure he wouldn't do a bad job out of dummy half. So hopefully O'Brien doesn't keep Cogger in the side this week. It's a liability, and it might bite us in the butt in upcoming games. And look, let's get to the NRL ladder. We've got in the green, Storm, Panthers, Roosters, Sharks, Bulldogs, Sea Eagles, and Cowboys will all, at this stage, play finals footy. That's 7 teams. We've got the orange zone. So that's the Dragons, the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Knights, and the Broncos. They're the 5 teams competing for 8th position, in my opinion. So we've got the Dragons and the Dolphins on 10, and then we've got the Raiders and the Knights and the Broncos on 9. But Brisbane have played an extra match, so that's to our advantage. And we'll look at the ladder predictor in a second. We'll run through that in more detail. But one observation here is that we've beaten the Dragons, the Dolphins, the Raiders, the teams above us. So, and we actually do come up against the Dolphins again. So we'll get into it. We'll have a look at what the upcoming matches are. We're on a season pass or fail. And I mean, ultimately, the Knights this year have failed, in my opinion. I think we're 2 wins short minimum of where we should be, which would get us in a reverse position, 11 wins and 9 losses. And if we were on 11 wins and 9 losses, that would put us in outright 8th right now. So I think that's where we should be as a minimum. Some of the losses have just been unacceptable and we should have won, which probably came down to tactics and coaching decisions. So, yeah, that's my belief. And then if they got the chemistry right, you know, and got the team selections better, got the combinations, you know, we probably would have been in a position where we were challenging for a top 4 position. And that was our prediction at the start of the year, is that the Knights will be challenging for a top 4 position. So we've got the cattle there. Definitely got the cattle there. If we look at the run home for the final 6 rounds, we've got the Sharks this week on Sunday. We've got the Rabbitohs away on a Saturday night, and then we've got the Titans and the Dolphins at Newcastle at home on a Sunday on both of those games. So we've got 3 Sunday games and 1 Saturday night game. God, it's a pretty good run home. It's a pretty good run home. And when you go into this ladder predictor, and I went through this on Monday morning with a pretty objective view of the matches and basically looked at who's favoured and who's not, and plugged it in, and I came out with the Knights in 8th on 30 points. Also, then I've got Broncos on 28, who I think will finish the season with some wins, and then I've got the Dragons and the Dolphins down there. Dragons on 28, Dolphins on 26. Now, Dolphins worry me. Dolphins could easily end up on 30, and if they do and we're on 30, they'll make the finals because our for and against isn't as good. So it's touch and go. Flanagan last night got 4 match bans, so that's going to help us with the Dragons. And I don't think the Dragons should be playing finals this year. I think the Dolphins and the Knights are the 2 teams that will be fighting it out for the 8th position. And James was of the same view when he did his ladder predictor, as you can see there on the screen if you've tuned in on YouTube. Okay. Look, I've already touched on a lot of the points on Adam O'Brien, so I'm not going to keep rambling on. Sound like a crazy dude about, blowing up at the coach. But, I mean, it's all based off fact and performance. So, but the bottom line is his record's 45% for the season, and overall in 5 seasons it's 45%. So what you get there is a mediocre result. And basically that's, our view is that we want a team that challenges top 4 in premierships. And this year, with the stock we had, we should be there. We should be doing that, and we're not. That's the bottom line. And ultimately what's in front of us is 4 matches, win 4, you're into the top 8, and you save face. But it's still going to, even if we make the top 8, it's unlikely that we progress through the second week of the finals, even if we won the first week. But look, the only saving face for O'Brien this year is if we win 4 in a row and then we get through 2 weeks of the finals and make a prelim. Then we're off, then you kind of forgive the mistakes for the year and you give him a massive pat on the back, and we move into a new season in 2025 with the same kind of hope and expectation that we had this year. But you'd still be nervous based off what we saw this year. Radio. We are sponsored by embi Optimal Oral Care for the season, and I'm going to quickly put up our sponsor's message. embi Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. So thanks embi Optimal Oral Care for sponsoring the Knighthood podcast for the 2024 NRL season. Tongue scraping is something that I believe most people should be doing, if not everyone, because it's a really low-cost, effective, sustainable way to look after your oral health, to get the bad bacteria that sits on the tongue surface. Tongue's like a carpet, so all this bacteria and stuff sits inside of there, and it's those bacteria that cause tooth decay, gum disease, bad breath, and poor gut health. So first thing in the morning, scrape before you brush. Basically, I get up in the morning and I get in the shower. I quickly scrape my tongue. It takes about 10, 15 seconds. I see all this gunk come off, even though I'm a pretty healthy guy. The bacteria still gets there. Best time to get it off is first thing in the morning. So scrape before you brush your teeth, and then you can get on with your day. And you don't necessarily need to use a chemical-based mouthwash then, because you've cleansed the mouth, with the scraper, getting the bacteria off the tongue, and then brush your teeth, hopefully with a decent toothpaste. And look, another thing that I use is those toothpaste tablets that NB have. I crush one in my mouth, and it foams up like a toothpaste. So that means that it's not in a plastic tube. It's better for the environment. And the formula of that toothpaste is really good because it naturally whitens my teeth, cleans my mouth effectively, and it controls against cavities. And look, it's a really good toothpaste as well. It's got less chemicals than mainly a lot of the commercial toothpaste out there. So crush and brush with the embi whitening toothpaste tablets. You can find both of those products, the scraper and the toothpaste, on Chemist Warehouse online. Search embi, EMBI-OOC. That's embi, EMBI space OOC. Stands for Optimal Oral Care. Check it out on Chemist Warehouse today. Rightio. Let's whip through the preview of this match against the Sharks. We're at 82% full strength rating. There's one excuse that we don't have this year, and that's the strength of our squad. We have been consistently in the 80% zone, and I would say we've been one of the most healthy clubs on the entire NRL. Basically, 82% plus every week. I think we might have dipped into the 70s once. And yeah, we whatever the performance staff have done this year, I think we've done a really great job. Hats off. Like, look at Brayley. They recovered him really well from his ACL, and he hasn't missed a game really. So I didn't think that he could get through. And we might now see, because he's getting some confidence back in his body, he might really finish the season well. Maybe the talk of offloading him is a little bit premature as well, but hopefully we see the best from Brayley, because Brayley is a key to this side. We need him to play to his potential at this stage of the season. We need him in the 9. He's a starting 9. So look, it's good. I think O'Brien's kind of got the mix of the spine right now. Best is out, and also Jacob Safidi. So we've got 3 in Tuala. So 3 players out, 82% strength rating. We're pretty strong. The Sharks have been they've had injuries in key positions, like with Hines and Trindle. Trindle may be back this week. It's 50-50. But they're around 94%, depending if some of the players named on the extended play or not. We're probably in a similar position to the Sharks when it comes to the strength of our squad in terms of injuries. So, ultimately, it's not going to come down to the Knights or the Sharks were decimated with injuries unless something happens during the game. So we're going in pretty even, in my opinion, here. But you got to be aware of the Sharks, because they're coming into they're building off that win last week against the Titans, 44-0, and they're going back home and they're getting players back. So, and it looks like they're challenging to make the top 4. If they drop this match, that could jeopardize that. So they've got a lot to play for. So do we. Our record against the Sharks. So we're on 4:05 p.m. at PointsBet Stadium, Shark Park, on Sunday. We have a winning record over the Sharks, 25-21. So that's the overall record. And that's since 1998. That's when the Sharks came in, I think. I wasn't aware of that, 1998. Anyway, so that's what the stats tell me. They must be right. And the Knights, we smashed them last year, going into the finals. That was an awesome match, and they got us in the match previous to that. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really close game. Both sides are, fighting for top 4 positions, top 8 positions. Game on. And wins at the venue. Knights have got up 45% of their matches there, so it's not like we can't go to the Sharks and win. That's positive for us, and we've won 2 out of our last 5, and the Sharks have won 3 out of their last 5. The Sharks, they lost to the Titans. They had a loss there to the Titans, and they had a loss to the Cowboys. We lost to the Sea Eagles, but you can put a line through that because we were decimated due to state of origin. And then you've got the Broncos match, which was shocking from us. We fucked that game up. We should have won that match. And the start of that match really killed us. And look, then you've got that was Hastings' last match before he got dropped as well, and then we lost to the Panthers. But we lost by 8 points there. So I think before that we won't beat the Raiders, and I thought we were starting to build. There we were looking good, and I reckon now we've got that win against the Tigers. We'll just forget those matches versus the Seagulls and the Broncos during the Origin, and I think we're starting to build back in the right direction here. And I think we've got a really good chance of playing finals footy, and I think we've got a really good chance of beating the Sharks this week. You can see on the screen here the current season stats head to head. I mean, ultimately, the thing I'm seeing here is that even though the Sharks have scored more points and conceded less per match, it's not actually a glaring difference. So like 26-4 the Sharks per match, and then 18-4 the Knights per match. So they're scoring an extra 8 points per match. So let's say it's a try and a penalty, or 2 tries unconverted. So we now that we've turned on, we've got the spine right, and we're turning on our attack. I really think that that gap can be bridged. And we've conceded 22 points to their 17. So you would say overall the Sharks' defense is better than ours, and that may be a factor in this match. Looking at it on paper, you'd have to favour the Sharks, and you'd have to favour them on a small margin, say 1 to 8 points. I think that's where it sits, but it's not to say that we can't go there and win this match. So you've got the sides here in front of us. We'll quickly whip through. So we've got, for the Sharks, Kennedy, Katoa. So Kennedy at fullback, Katoa and Stone Street on the wing, Ramian and Iro in the centres, and then Atkinson and Brayley in the halves. So the halves combination there is it's not what you'd like to see at this stage of the year if you're a supporter of the coach. So I think we've got him in the backs. Ponga at fullback, Sharp on the wing with Marju. And then we've got Gagai and Lucas in the centres, and Gamble and Crossland in the half. So I would take our back line over the Sharks. But then when it comes to the forwards, we've got, they've got Rudolph and Kafusi in the front row, good front rowers. McInnes there in hooker. He's naturally not a hooker. So then they've got Nakora and Talakai in the back row, and Talakai is naturally a centre. So they're a bit reshuffled here. Jack Williams, underrated player. He's there in the 13. We've got Daniel Safidi and Thompson in the front row, and they're starting to run into some good form. And Brayley, as I mentioned, is starting to, he's settled into that starting 9 role. And let's go. Frizzell, spiritual leader, and KPP, let's hope we start seeing a bit more of expansive football from KPP. He's got it in his game. Take the blinkers off the boy. Take the reins off. Let's go. Adam Elliott, keep it up, mate. Consistency. The kettle whistles when he's hot. When he's cold, you don't see him. So hopefully the kettle's whistling for the rest of this season. And on the bench, we've got Beryl for the Sharks. Good hooker. Burns. Don't know a lot about Billy Burns. Royce Hunt's a good player, and Hazleton's a good player. So good. They got good impact off the bench here. We've got Jack Cogger, and you wouldn't say we've got a good impact off the bench or cover with Jack Cogger, would you? So, or maybe you would. If you disagree, write it in the comments. Matt Crocker, Hetherington, and Brody Jones. So we've got consistency there on the bench, and these boys can aim up and level it there, I think, with the Sharks. So look, on paper, I think overall we match up pretty well, and this is going to be a really good contest. Extended for the Sharks: Peru, Hemman, Ueli, Trindle, Mulatalo, and Hawa Tupua. So some key players there on their extended that if they play, for example, Trindle and Mulatalo and Ueli, they'll be really strong additions to the Sharks and would make our life a bit harder. We've got Kant, we've got Jenkins, Hastings, Price, and MacArthur. I'd like to see Will Price in the 14 jersey. Now's the time to do that. I'm hoping to see it. I don't expect it. Ref is Jaron Sutton. Knights have a 50% winning strike rate with him. The Sharks have a 48%, and it looks like it's going to be a fine day there in Cronulla, and it looks like it'll be an attacking day game with good conditions. Let's get into the betting segment. I'll quickly whip through this and then wrap up the show, and I'm going to get on with my work day. So betting notes. Well, we had two bets, one win, one loss, and we saved face. We didn't lose too much profit. I think we gave ourselves a chance of a real good upside bet at 355 with the Tigers, and we managed to save face and minimize our loss for the day with a good decision in play. And overall, that leaves our profit for 7% for the year. My live bet strike rate is getting better. It's at 7 wins and 4 losses at 64%, which is quite good. I think I've improved my judgment this year on live bets, and I think that's the way I'll look at this match if we're having a bet this week. And look, overall for the season, I'm pretty happy, but it has been a hard season because we've been inconsistent, and there's been a lot of frustrating decisions from the coach and the way we play. And yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough, but I've managed to get a 7% return. And if you were the average punter and just backing the Knights every week, you'd be losing 11% of your money, and at a 45% winning strike rate, you're doing your dough. So it does pay to, even just listen to our tips and listen to our analysis to help you make better decisions. It has been a hard season. I know that, there's a guy, the Tripod, shout out to the Tripod and Winnie. I've been watching this guy for a few years, and I think he's had 9 seasons making a profit betting on the NRL, and he's losing this year. He's got a 48% tipping strike rate. So it's been a hard season, even for the pros. Going into this match here, so we've got the Knights to win at $3.15. Sorry, the slide here is incorrect. So just run off what I've got to say. The Sharks to win are at $1.36, and the Knights at the line is plus 8.5, $1.90. As I just said during the pod, it's interesting. I said, probably be favouring at the Sharks 1-8, and there you go. There's the line for the Knights at plus 8.5. So, it looks like my judgment's in line with what the bookies' judgment is at the minute, and based off that, I guess plus 8.5 at $1.90 for the Knights is probably looking pretty juicy. But it's a close one, and it could go either way. Knights 1-12, $4.60. So if you think the Knights are going to win, back them at 1-12 because they probably won't win 13 plus at $7.75. Now, I've got a bet to announce. I'm backing the Knights to make the top 8 at $8.25. I did that on Monday on with some bookmakers. I managed to get an average of around not $8.25, or the average is a bit lower as the market reduced when I put the bets on. So basically, I think we've probably got it's up between us and the Dolphins. If we win this match against the Sharks, you're going to see those odds come right down to about $2, $3. So maybe even less because the Dragons now with Flanagan. So this is, I think this is a really good play. Look, we may not get there. It's, I think in my eyes, it's 50-50. And if you've got odds at $8.25 staring you in the face, you take it because overall, if it turns out to be a 50-50 bet, you're going to win it 50% of the time, and you're going to make a massive amount of money. So look, gamble responsibly. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose, and don't you can't expect that if you place this bet, it's going to be 100% that you'll win it, but you can definitely expect that you've got probably a coin toss here, 50-50 in my view. And that's based off our analysis, going through our consistent process and knowing the potential of our side and looking at the trajectory of our side. I'd like to get Cogger out of the side. Apart from that, I really think that we've got a great shot at making the finals. And look, I'll have a quick look at what the current odds are. So my advice is look across the market, across all bookmakers, and see who's got the best odds. But I'll just have a look at someone I regularly use. And we have the NRL futures, and we're looking at the top 8. So to make the top 8, Knight's currently sitting in at $6. So I do all right. Got on at $8.25. But yeah, there it is. There's the bet. That's going to count as a $100 bet and count towards our season total. So if we win this and the Knights make the top 8, we'll be around 30% profit for the year, depending on what happens over the next 4 rounds. So yeah, exciting times. So yeah, definitely a bet to consider. And I've put a lot of thought into it. So there is a pretty good level of confidence in us making the top 8 still. And for the record, I did tip the Knights last year to make the top 8, and I put my money where my mouth was and cashed in last year off odds of around 650 at the start of last year. So this match is a lot better. This bet's a lot better because I've only got to watch it for 4 rounds, not the whole season. And it was a tough one last year, a tough watch, but very exciting at the end and very rewarding. So there it is. There's our bet. And if you want to have a bet during the match or on the match this week, head to head, I'd advise you to back the Knights at 8.5 plus. That's my tip for the week. And I also probably most likely will be looking at a live bet. I'm going to be erring on the side of caution and being conservative now that I've placed this top 8 bet. So, but at the same time, I'll look to chip away and add to our 7% profit for the year in bets. And I'm going to be super switched on for the next 4 rounds and really try and end the year without losing a bet. And I think at this stage, I look at what I've been doing and the live bets are working for me. So I think at this stage, I'll roll forward with the live bets and I'll try and aim to bet less and consider things, pretty thoroughly. So that's what I'm going to do. And my aim for the season was 25% profit, and that's still the aim. I obviously don't want to lose money, but at this stage of the season with 7% profit, I'm happy to play with that 7% profit and see what we can do to get a good return on investment for our time and our enjoyment for the year. So that's where things are at for the betting, and that takes us to the end of the show. So look, I'm sorry that you didn't get a chance to listen to James this week, and you had some really good calls last night on the show, and we had a good show actually. We enjoyed it. So but I wanted to make sure that we had good quality content. The audio just didn't turn out well. So sorry for anyone that tuned into the live last night. It was a hard watch. We didn't realize it. We had to delay the show and we had some technical issues, and it just the streaming provider, let us down. But anyway, looks like this one's recorded for us, and we've got good audio, good insight, good content. Good betting tips. We might, if you get on those betting tips, and we can ride the season together and end on a high note. And that's what we're about. Performance. We want to see the side make the top 8, do well in the finals, and we want to see our bets land. So let's go Knights. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. On YouTube, please subscribe to us if you're watching. It helps us to get this thing out into the algorithm and get more people watching, and that supports us. It does take a lot of time putting this thing together every week. So we're doing it on a shoestring budget, and we're not making $1 million out of this, that's for sure. So it would help if you could subscribe and get it out to more people in the algorithm, and also obviously like the show as well. And key reason we've re-recorded this is because we've got a good following now on Spotify and iTunes. So, for your drive home or the gym or, your walk, whatever you do, plug it in and listen to us. And then we've got the Facebook, the socials, and X. So definitely tune in on X on game days, because we chime in with betting up. And if you're on Facebook regularly, then, follow us and and like us, because we'll give you good content. We're not going to give you any bullshit, rubbish content. It's all going to be, good content, valuable content. So, look, that wraps us up. I'm going to roll out with the Knights winning team song. We won last week, so we played the team winning song, and let's hope we're singing it this week after the Sharks. Thanks again. Have a great Wednesday. And have a good watch on the weekend. Let's go Knights.